Hello, welcome to Senior Moments. My name is Dolly Simonovich. The late mythologist Joseph Campbell said we should follow our bliss. He said, quote, "When you follow your bliss, doors will open where you would not have thought there would be doors, and where there wouldn't be a door for anyone else." In other words, there's something that only you can do. Have you discovered it? San Bruno resident Boris Koodrin believes he has.
I grew up in San Francisco in the Sunset District, 47th Avenue specifically. A lot of people look at the Sunset District as this big, vast sea of stucco homes and rather a bland place. And I never saw it that way. To me, it was a place of mystery because the fog would roll in and you would just be inundated with fog. And I just loved taking these journeys to get to places that fascinated me. It was almost as though there were these treasures, and if you were willing to walk through the fog and through the stucco to see what was on the other side, you would discover these fascinating places. And so to me, it was a wonderful place to grow up. I know that people have influenced me a certain way, and I see them as signposts in my journey. Is that, you know, you're going down this way, and had this not happened, you never would have gone off this way. And so I try to see who those signposts in my life are. And my grandmother, I'd have to say, is in the scheme of things, one of the biggest signposts in my life. She originally put a paintbrush in my hand, and she would sit me down at a table with an orange or an apple, and she would put a flashlight next to it and turn it on so that it would cast a shadow, and then she would tell me, "Now paint that," teaching me how light works, how life gives form, and how without it there is no form. And it's like, how do you translate that to a piece of flat canvas? It's like, what's light doing? You know, ask questions. You know, answer them on the canvas. So this is actually the last painting that I did in my previous life. Right after this painting, I laid down my brushes for 27 years. The painting had won an honorable mention at a show that it was in. The technique here is one of photorealism. It's just, it is what it is. That if you go there, that's what you'll see. Most of my paintings now, the majority of them, I have no planning whatsoever, and I basically just start pushing paint around. This process totally frustrated me. I'm not a good envisioner. People can't believe when I tell them that. I don't see things in here and then put them down on canvas. That doesn't work for me. That's what got me away from painting. That's what scared me. I don't have a prescribed thing that I want to do other than capture somebody's imagination and see where it takes them. Now, the painting Heartwood is a very simple painting. It's just two trees, or tree trunks, kissing, embracing a heart. The title Heartwood is basically a tribute to my marriage of 35 years, and you know, just how we've grown, or are in the process of growing older gracefully, hopefully, and how that is all rooted in love, and that we share the same values for understanding who we are and where we come from. And that has pretty much helped us to build a very strong relationship. There's a very definite element of nature in that particular one. Just the textures and the colors are very strong. Beyond that, I haven't really put I haven't tried to attach a lot of meaning to it, other than the fact that growing old gracefully with somebody that you love is a very nice experience, to say the least. Very meaningful. The thing that took me from being a silkscreen artist to painting, it's not what you might think. What brought me back to my art was working with youth at Log Cabin Ranch. Log Cabin Ranch is 650 acres of beautiful land. I mean, it's like pristine stuff. And so the students there are generally used to just playing basketball on what's called the blacktop and living in these cinder block buildings. And really, they never get off of that. And Vision Use, what we do is we take them out into nature and we basically create rites of passages for them in the wilderness. And what I realized one day in doing this, I had ultimately become the director of the program. I realized one day that I'm setting up not obstacles, but doors for these guys, these young men between 15 and 19 years old. And I'm asking them to do very, very difficult things and to walk through their fears. And I realized that I myself had not done that with my art. In fact, I had walked away from my fear of art. And I realized that I could not be teaching these guys about walking through their fears if I didn't heal this in my own life. And so I stopped being the director there and I decided I needed to be an artist right now, and that's where I am right now. I am in the process of being an artist. My art is not about putting beautiful things on the wall. When I create a painting, it's not something that I'm doing just. I mean, I look around me and I see how beautiful nature is, and my desire is not to try to replicate it or to capture that beauty. My desire is a little different than that. I'm creating doorways when I paint. I want somebody to stop, and yes, I want you to see the beauty that I see in creation. But more than that, I want you to get involved with the painting. I want you to see where it takes you and see what you see inside the painting.
35 years ago, Boris took a picture of a house in Mendocino. He painted it and showed it 2 times, 27 years apart. At each showing, someone came up to him and said, "Hey, I know that house and the people who live in it." Be right back.
There is no time like the present to make a personal, life-saving contribution to your community. The American Red Cross is in dire need of blood donors, you, your family, coworkers, or neighbors, to respond to major calamities and the deeply personal and quiet disasters requiring the gift of blood. For more information and to schedule your donation appointment, call the American Red Cross Blood Services or visit their website. Be a local hero. Be a blood donor.
Real men know that getting tested is the way to take care of their families. That's why real men wear gowns. For a list of the tests you need, go to ahrq.gov.
Wouldn't it be nice if a maid would clean up after us? Think of it as the maid's day off. Please clean up after yourself. Keep San Bruno clean.
While Boris was working in his silk screening profession, he was also making a spiritual journey that would have a profound effect on his art.
I went to Catholic school, in grammar school and high school, Holy Name School in the Sunset District on 39th Avenue in Lawton, and then I went to St. Ignatius High School in San Francisco and graduated in '67. In high school I played football, and the whole time I was there, 4 years, I played football. I was a linebacker and on defense and a guard on offense. The one big thing that I did learn from football was that you can do a lot more than you think you can do. And in that sense, I am in the process of learning that in my art, because I actually walked away from my art early in life. In my mid-20s, I walked away, and a lot of that had to do with really not believing in myself and thinking that I was a good enough artist. And I took a 27-year leave from painting, and I'm just now getting back into that. So in one sense, what I did learn in football in some areas of my life stuck with me, but I kind of betrayed that in the sense of walking away from it, because I didn't find that in myself in the art, and fear was the motivating factor there. But now I have to say that I'm finding that football experience in my art and discovering it quite handsomely, because I'm producing things that I didn't know I could produce. And a lot had to do with mental blocks, perhaps is a good way of saying it. I couldn't see things clearly in my head, and therefore it discouraged me from painting. It was really frustrating for me. But now I approach my art in a different way, and that is that I just pretty much paint intuitively. I don't always know what I'm going to put on a canvas. I just start pushing paint around, and it becomes something, and then that leads to something else. And a painting may morph into different directions while I'm doing it, but by the time I finished, my paintings look planned, and it looks like I had a specific intent, and I didn't. Now my only intent is to allow things to come through me, and they become something. And so that is what I'm finding, is that I have this wonderful reservoir inside of me that I didn't know I had. I wouldn't be the artist that I am today, I don't think, had I not followed the path that I followed. As a matter of fact, I mean, I might not even be painting today had I followed that path of trying to be an artist. I had to walk away from it and not be an artist in order to become an artist. And my motivation, like I say, is not in painting a picture, but in creating a doorway. And so my journey from the time that I was in the Holy Order of Mans in 1969 to becoming a deacon in a Protestant evangelical church, and then becoming a student of Tom Brown Jr., finding doorways through Native American philosophies, and then in Vision Use, and being part of a community of people that were loosely connected through spiritual yearnings, and being a screen printer even has made me a creator of doors more than it has an artist. And that's really, and you can see that reflected in my art, not only in the fact that yes, my paintings will take you somewhere if you really delve into them, and there's more than meets the eye in most of my paintings, but I'm actually painting on doors. I didn't plan that. This door behind me was the first door I ever did, and that was a result of my wife Barty asking me to please paint that door because we were going to have a party in a few days, and it was peeling badly. And so she woke up the next morning, and I had this little muralette on it and in a poem. I surprised myself, quite frankly, but I knew I had something. Creating doors for the youth at Log Cabin has now translated itself into creating literal doors for people to literally walk through. But I want the doors to take them further than just the other room. I want people to use these doors to create beauty in their lives, to maybe every time they stop and have to open that door, it's not just a door that you would kick open. You actually have to take care of it. It's a piece of art now. And so you consciously have to stop and open it carefully and close it carefully if you want it to last. And so it's a moment of awareness for people. When you walk through one of my paintings, it's a moment of awareness, and I want you to stop, or I want it to cause you to stop and have to deal with that moment. And so it's a moment of being in the present and of being conscious of the fact that this item is in my life for a reason. Where is it going to take me? I'm going to walk through it. and I want that expectancy there. I want to help people find that themselves. The South San Francisco door originally started as a tribute to the 60s artist Rick Griffin, psychedelic artist. And if you look at the top of the door, there's that sun that you'll find on the Oxamoxa album, The Grateful Dead. I just wanted to do something psychedelic like that, just to play around, and so it started as that. I used Rick Griffin's sun that everyone's familiar with, and then I just started playing around with this thing. And a funny thing happened that halfway down, I was doing this scarab, connecting to the rays of the sun and then connecting to the trees below it, and I had put an SF in there, and something motivated me to turn it into South San Francisco. And all of a sudden this painting took a twist and it became a South San Francisco biotech door instead of a San Francisco psychedelic door. And in it I've incorporated all kinds of symbology and symbolism, everything from Native American hawk symbols to Catholic Madonna and child symbols to the tree of life and the double helix symbol. The scarab itself is the doorway to the sun, which is an Egyptian symbol. And you can find a lot more in there, but in the background you can see the San Francisco airport and a jet taking off and San Bruno Mountain. But you look deeper at the bottom part of the painting and you can see that there's 7 globes lined up representing 7 chakras, and there's other aspects in there of creation. The sun, of course, is the egg surrounded by sperm, and then you can find the same things being repeated in the trees and the roots of the trees, and there's a lot of things going on in there. Where the doorknob was, I've included a longhorn cattle, and that's pertinent to this South San Francisco electric thing, because South City was basically where the cattle were brought in and shipped into San Francisco, into the slaughterhouses in South City, and then marketed in San Francisco. The longhorn is specifically important to South City, being the home of the biotech industry, because the longhorn was brought over from Europe by the Spaniards and had become feral here in California and the Southwest. But it's also the father stock of our beef industry in America, because it has such a strong constitution that it was used as like the mainstay behind the beef industry. So that's very much part of South City's history. Dreamology it's a large painting, 4 by 5 feet, and it's basically about dreams. I took a photograph of Bryce Canyon and studied it and thought I could do something with that. I was really mesmerized by all the rock formations. I started playing around with that. If you look at the top part of the painting, it's very much true to life, but as the painting comes down and you get into the canyon itself, it becomes a dreamscape. I just was playing around with the different levels of sleep and dream and consciousness, and just how there's different areas that you can work in. There's areas where you're just basically victim to your dreams in a sense, or where they take you, or where you're just basically unconscious. And when you dream, there's an awakening process that happens there. So if you look throughout the painting, you'll see that there's faces in the rocks, and there's people in there. Then you can see a woman descending into the dream world, and you can see birds coming out of a cave. So all these things are meant to just touch on the different aspects of dream and sleep and consciousness. The birds, for example, in the painting are carrying the consciousness of people that have just gone into the sleep realm, and they're not consciously going anywhere. They're being taken somewhere. Other people that you find in the rocks are actually doing things, and they're expressing their creativity and their power and the ability to become awakened in their dream state and actually maneuver their way through the dream world.
This is the mural Boris painted at St. Ignatius College Preparatory in San Francisco. After the break, we'll be back with more of Boris and the story of this wonderful painting.
San Bruno Cable is now offering digital phone service. That's right, phone service through your cable. For one low rate, you can make calls throughout the U.S. and Canada and to key international locations, along with loads of comprehensive features like call waiting, caller ID, and voicemail for an unbeatable price. And you can even keep your old phone number. Save even more when you bundle services with TV and internet. So sign up today with San Bruno Cable, your local cable company serving the community since 1971.
Alan Babin chose to serve his country as an airborne combat medic. He was critically wounded in Iraq when he rushed to help an injured soldier.
That was my job, and I was there to do it.
Alan will require daily care for the rest of his life. Paralyzed Veterans of America, helping veterans get all the benefits they've earned.
If I could do it over again, I would.
Paralyzed Veterans of America. To help, visit pva.org.
How often in your life have you had the luxury of having a poet tell you exactly what he meant? Or an artist describe and proclaim his intent? Well, you have the opportunity now as we join Boris as he continues to talk about his work.
That painting is called The Beholder's Eye, and I being the letter I, like Iran, or I go to the store. I did work off of a basic concept on that one, which was to build a mandala of sorts. And I used my wife's eye to really show a mandala of the forces of nature and how when we tap into those things, we begin to tap into ourselves, because nature is not something that's outside of us, but it's really something that is part of us, and it can be reached this way rather than looking out this way. And you'll just find the different natural forces in there, water, fire, earth, wind, all the different things in there that the earth is actually made up out of, or that creation is made of, but all are the same thing in different forms, and that form is that expressive energy that we're born with, and how to find it. And so, as they say, the eye is a window to the soul. It's like, okay, well, where does that take us, and what does it take us to? And so I want you to step into that eyeball and see where it is, where it takes you. Interestingly, in this painting, if you look in the eyebrow, there's something going on up there. And you'll see a little blue man that tends to pop up in my paintings quite a bit. Maybe it's my alter ego, I don't know. If you look at this painting in the eyebrow, there's this little man, and he's building a fire in the eyebrows, and their sparks are flying out from there, and they're as they fly off, they're forming stars and other worlds and so forth. He's kind of my alchemist. He can create anything that you want to create, and it's like, that's the power. It's like when you can tap into the powers of nature, but if you don't know how to use them, they're meaningless to you. When you turn that energy and know how to use these things, you can create anything in your life. And so this little guy he's creating universes, but there's a light side to that and a dark side to that, because while he's creating universes, you can also see stars crashing below that universe. So it's like, how you use it has a lot to do with what you're doing. It's not a simple matter of being able to create. It's a matter of what you create. Does it lift or does it destroy? And that in essence is the meaning of that painting. In 2005, I got the bid on doing a mural for St. Ignatius High School. It was in 2005, SI was celebrating 150 years of Jesuit education in San Francisco. I got a 40 by 10-foot wall to do, and it was concerning the history of Jesuit education. So, you know, at first I was like, well, what am I going to do here? And so I had this big blank wall. I've not done a mural before. You know, how's this going to translate? So I started off with a smaller canvas, and I did a small canvas painting first. By small, it's 6 foot by like 2 feet. And I plotted everything that way, and so I then was able to transfer to the wall. But I was still looking at the canvas going, oh, I've got a blank canvas here. How do I fit the history of SI onto here? And looking through the archives, I came across one character by the name of Father Bouchard. And I looked at his picture in the archives room, and I go, oh my God, there's the first step in my mural. And it was this Jesuit with a long pointed beard, white beard, and a big crucifix stuck in his Jesuit belt. And it was like, wow, you don't normally see that, you know, because self-expression is not all that welcome to a Jesuit 150 years ago. And so I started delving into that story. I wanted to give the Catholic, somewhat of a Catholic version of the, not of the Da Vinci Code, but something that was just as involved, just as mysterious, and more real. And so I picked the personal journey into the dark night of the soul as kind of my guideline. And so this mother is pointing in the mural, and she's pointing at something very specific, and you have to follow her point very specifically, and it'll take you to one thing and then another and then another. And so you end up taking a journey through this mural, and there's all kinds of symbolism in it, and a lot of historical aspects, but they're all giving you little hints of something, and they aren't answered in the mural. You actually, the only answers you'll really get are more questions, but they will cause you to have to ask questions that will take you somewhere within yourself.
At the end of the summer of 2008, you can find Boris's latest work at its temporary location at the intersection of San Mateo Avenue at Genevieve in San Bruno. Do you remember the dreams you had when you were young? Did you put them on hold while you met your responsibilities of raising a family, putting food on the table and a roof over your heads? Did you get a safe job and stay there until you retired? Now that you're retired or about to retire, there's nothing to stop you from following your bliss. Thank you for joining us today on Senior Moments. I hope you enjoyed our program. See you next time.